Alright, time for the next episode.
Time for a little payback.
In Prague.
The Contessa, having escaped us into prison, is now hiding out in her castle estate. It's a well-fortified Gothic nightmare.
Because of course.
Run in terror. Terrible or not, that's where we're headed. To sweeten the deal, we've learned that the Contessa, who until recently was a secret member of the Claw Gang, is in possession.
Yeah, she also has another part, the Clockwerk eyes, which she uses for hypnotism. Ooh.
It doesn't take a genius to figure out what an accomplished hypnotist could do with such powerful artifacts. News of the Contessa's corruption has spread to Interpol.
So yeah, the Interpol has officially rejected her, and Neyla has decided to go against her by hiding generic mercenaries. Because of course it's always generic mercenaries.
But we have to act now.
So yeah, the gang is literally tangled into a war, and they have to get the partner with the Contessas, like Cooper, and the gang in...
Tangled web.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave when the...
That probably is the pun lives. So yeah, the gimmick of this episode is the fact that there are one side of the map is brim with the mercenaries that Neyla has hired with tanks and all, while the other has the Contessa's forces, and it's more vertical because it's an entire castle that you have to climb. And yes, and the new gimmick in this, starting with this, is that Sly is gonna have a parachute to use.
Here's the plan. First, take some
Of course.
around the area. Then make your way up to the re-education tower.
Looks pleasant enough.
Sure.
Oh, and stay clear of tanks. You know, so
Yeah, the tanks are literally invulnerable. None of the gang member can actually, even scratch them. So... There we go. Like I said, yeah, right, I forgot. First of all, boat.
the Contessa has these boats out on patrol against Neyla's army. They could be useful to hitch a ride.
I guess.
One little bit about the Claw Gang I do like is that every member of the Claw Gang is a member of a species that does in some way, shape, or form have claws. Even though in Contessa they kind of have to take a few liberties and have her basically.
Well, the one after the Contessa definitely doesn't have claws, Jova. So.
Well, it's complicated.
Not really, Jova. It's Jean Bison. It's a bison. Bisons have hooves.
Well, what I mean is you could consider his horns sort of like the shape of claws in a sense.
That's stretching.
Well, would you put it past the series?
No, this series is more towards puns.
Well, that's sort of my point. Is I wonder if the idea is they all have something that is pretty much akin to the shape of claws. There's Neyla's HQ.
It's a pretty secure location. It'll take some doing to drive her
So we're literally caught in the middle of
it's
a
a crossfire
war zone,
essentially. And the gang has to find a way, like I said, to combat the Contessa, making sure she's secured to justice, get the Clockwerk part, and avoid capture. No pressure.
No pressure whatsoever.
Any possible also rescue Carmelita, but priorities.
Because of course Carmelita is being held here.
I love the attention to detail that we do for some of the movements when Sly has to sneak behind the cards. Like I said, this second half of the map instead is structured more in a vertical way, meaning there's a lot of climbing, platforming, and attaching to hooks that you need to do. So it might be a bit discouraging, especially if you want to catch all the bottles. Thankfully, like I said, I did it off screen, but I'll still show what the reward is afterward. But again, the process of getting all the bottles is in itself, a way to get acquainted with this. So again, the best hint that I can give is first and foremost, when you start an episode, to try to collect all the bottles in order to get acquainted, and if you still have some doubts, so the mission where you have to do or the photo reconnaissance usually do help with that. So there we go.
You know, I'll admit, given how things are going, I'm actually surprised that, Contessa wasn't the last Claw member we deal with.
Well, that's
Seeing as-
just symbolizing the fact that while this is one of the darkest point of where the gang will have to face, things are not gonna be super easy from now on.
Oh, true, yeah.
It's your
just
reality check essentially.
It's just like, well, I almost feel like,
All
Contessa would have...
right, time to get more photos because Carmelita is getting brainwashed. No good.
Just the clockwork eyes up here.
Why are you doing this? Neyla! She said
Um,
I'm an
Carmelita, voice actress, we already forgot the name. Can you put more emphasis in your speaking?
I know that you're honest.
Then why are you doing this?
Well, to be fair, she's kind of possessed. Sort of.
No, that's the thing. We're trying to hypnotize her, but not in a way that she will tell the truth, like in a Veritaserum situation. More like to actually make her kind of like zombified. And yet, you can see also from animation that she's restrained, she wants to get out, but her dialogue is more neutral.
Disgrace to Interpol. I'll make it my life's
You get the idea that she should be not necessarily screaming, but be more pissed off in her tone.
Once I integrate the clockwork eyes into this device, your life's work will be whatever I tell you.
I won't be brainwashed that easily.
Quite right. It won't be easy or painless. But I will reprogram your mind, and you will take the fall for me at
Simple. Basically, she'll brainwash Carmelita into saying she was the one related to Claw and that Contessa was innocent in it all.
Yeah, this is bad news.
Take a few photos and get out of there.
No.
Why? This is not the time for charging in guns blazing.
Do now? Get the recon photos and come back to the safe house. I swear we'll find a way.
Don't you see, Bentley? Heroes don't need plans.
Except making plans is literally our thing.
That old terminal should be hardwired to the systems in this
How
building.
convenient.
We need to find a way to get it online.
Alright, let's see what we can get here. First, the eyes, I think. Yeah. Bit smaller than last time.
Clockwork eyes. They seem to be routed through that control board. Get a shot of the console so I can decipher its vague.
Alright.
Interesting. Inspector Fox is restrained in an old Iron Tech 250.
That thing is a code name.
Effective.
They just don't make them like they used to.
Clearly not.
Those are the Contessa's elite shadow guard. Tough is too sissy a word to describe those guys.
And there you go, the mind shuffler.
That's a mind shuffler. I didn't think they were real. It's made of equal parts science and black magic.
Of course.
Indestructible to conventional weapons. All right, head back to the safe house and we'll get a plan.
So it's time to moving on and start actually programming something and how to do with everything.
Maybe the mind shuffler allows you to is what Yugi used in Duelist Kingdom. I don't know.
That's more Mind Crusher, so I don't know.
No. Remember, Teo, the mind shuffle where he switches back between Yugi and Yami to stop Pegasus from reading his mind. Remember?
True.
Here's the
Alright.
Murray, sneak into the castle
Aha.
and kidnap the head of security.
The one that actually properly destroys Pegasus is Bakura, not so much Yugi.
He doesn't so much destroy Pegasus so much as he does just pluck his eye out.
Yeah.
Pegasus is actually fine after that whole thing. Probably be for the better.
Well, and
Until the movie.
or the game that we did where he's now suddenly the villain.
Rechef, yes.
Well, Pegasus was going through a phase. A mental phase.
That man has a lot of phases, it seems.
So anyway,
Well, don't worry. By Yu-Gi-Oh!
Hold on.
GX, he's A-okay.
So that's the plan. And there you go. While Murray will have to literally kidnap one of the guards.
Hey,
There
Murray,
you go.
can you see the general from there?
Nope. Just an old man.
That's a bet.
Don't let his appearance fool and he's one of the toughest old soldiers you'll ever see. Not to mention head of castle security.
What if he doesn't want to come? I don't want to hurt him.
Oh,
Don't worry about that. He's only afraid of two things. Fire and water. Other
So
than that,
bring a
he
glass
could
of
turn it if he
water.
wanted to.
no, basically, that's basically the game telling you, oh, you can actually beat the shit out of him if you want, or just toss him where you want. But if you actually drop it near a fire source or in the water, it's just the mission is failed. But this mission is pretty easy. You just need to, especially if I recall correctly, at this point you can actually get an upgrade for Murray that allows you to actually run while, there you go, while carrying objects, and also jump properly. Meaning that you can actually, skedaddle easily with the general in tow at your hideout. Sorry, nothing to see here.
Nothing to hear either. Just the old ramblings of a man yelling at a cloud. There's plenty of clouds in the sky right now.
I'm pretty sure it's the middle of the night.
Well, just because it's the middle of the night doesn't mean you can't see clouds. And besides, the sky is nice and red today.
Are we sure it's not the night of a hunt in Bloodborne? But there we go. Alright, now it's time for torture.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Sorry, Dweebs, this is not GTA 5, we're not gonna do waterboarding.
Castle gates. Don't feel like talking, huh?
Okay, tickling is actually legit a form of torture, and people can die from
Bentley,
tickling.
you're a monster.
Talk, you skeleton.
There we go. Just done. The general will provide actual information that will be useful for the next part of the plan. But now, much like in the first game, Bentley is not actually afraid, despite being a science person, Bentley is not afraid of the occult. Just, prefers to integrate it with science.
That's it. I knew she'd have a bad mojo collector to transport the overflow.
Huh?
It's a semi-magical device that sucks up bad mojo.
Of course.
I'll need it to gather the runoff from these spouts.
Hmm.
Sounds easy.
Not really. That mojo is a powerfully dark force. Take any damage while carrying...
So yeah,
the
one hit
collector
and the mission is over.
Wow. Sounds hard.
Yes, it presents an interesting tactical challenge. Perhaps I could use the death traps native to these crypts against any foe that might attempt to thwart my collection of the ectoplasm.
Huh? No way that'll work. I'd use that switch to smash up the guards before they...
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Precisely. Once all 4 cylinders of the collection device are full, that should be enough black magic to destroy the Mind Shuffler.
Alright, so basically this works kind of like a tower defense. You need to press the buttons in order to activate the contraptions. There you go, like this.
This'll hurt.
And the enemies that will be hurt will also help the device on top with the bat to release the bad mojo, and essentially you have to wait until its capacity is full. There we go. The first set of missions will be easy enough, especially because right now you only have one trap to take care of, and you have like 3 different buttons that you can use to repeat the process, and we have a fairly decent cooldown. But the next couple of ones will be actually more challenging. You have to be taking care of multiple enemies coming out from different places.
The coup de grace.
So, I missed anything?
Bentley is smashing people because he needs to collect bad magic energy. Yes.
Looks like the spouts run out of bad mojo. No matter,
I'm sure you are, Bentley.
He is. Basically, that's telling you that you need to get into 4 catacombs, respectively. Like I mentioned, thanks to the power of editing, I basically just skipped the part where I get to each of the catacombs, if I recall correctly. Oh, actually, no, I don't. My bad. I don't remember. It's actually been a while. Well, the catacombs are fairly near to each other, so it's not too big of a deal in finding it one or the other. There we go. Boop. It never gets old. But no, like you were saying, Jova, before, I'm pretty sure there's no actual clouds, and this is just the actual night of the hunt, because the moon is also suspiciously reddish yellow, like the one of Bloodborne.
Well, that's the thing, though, too. If you look into the sky, you'll notice the textures of clouds up in there, like, you know...
I guess. Now, this next one actually allows you to experiment a bit. One trap works only on the right side with an axe. Another one uses swords coming out, and another instead uses, if you recall correctly, the spikes. Meaning that you have to experiment with what you can do. Here we go. And even the good news is that even if an enemy manages to get in, there we go. Even if an enemy manages to get in, you can still potentially defend yourself. The mission is effectively over only if Bentley gets hit. So if you can manage to juggle effectively, you should be still good to go.
Mm-hmm.
If you calculate also the timing of a pendulum of the axe, you can manage to get 2 enemies in a row. Like this. I can do this all day.
You have to sound a bit more enthusiastic. I can do this all day. There you go.
I guess. To be fair, Bentley's clearly, as we mentioned, as we've seen in the past, and we'll clearly see also in the future, Bentley is not exactly the paragon of purity of art.
Or, endurance.
To be fair, Jovan, Slyfor actually has one particular hacking mission that has his virtual avatar being a Rambo stand-in, so that's pretty neat as a type of humor. Any minute now.
Ta-da!
There we go.
Excellent! Another chamber in my mojo collector is full. Moving on to the third crypt.
Also, I think the transition screen is a bit balked. I can still see a bit of the level behind it.
What do you specifically mean?
The borders on the far right, when the transition logo's coming in and out, I can still see the.
Oh, true. I get the idea that it's probably how it was designed originally, in a sense that the 4:3 ratio did mask it, and instead a conversion to widescreen HD instead, allow it to happen when it wasn't supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah, and that's also a good point to talk about a bit of some of the gizmos that Bentley tends to have. Like we mentioned, like we've seen at the beginning, Bentley is mostly specialized in explosives and the tranquilizer darts, but he also has a bit of tools on his own. He has a device that allows him to run, actually, yes, really. He has a device that actually allows him to use, instead of the sleeping gas, a confusing gas that allows enemies to attack each other. Something that Ghost of Tsushima will actually make it a plot point, interestingly enough.
Yep.
And if I recall correctly, he also has different types of explosive also to use that are regulated to these debuffs. So that's pretty cool. The third game also will expand this even in greater capacity, especially with the mobility, considering the conditions that Bentley would be in that game. More on that later.
Don't you see, Theo? In Tsushima, they tell legends of a raccoon, a turtle, and a hippopotamus, right?
Yes.
They tell legends of these three creatures. You see,
Of course.
and people learn from those legends.
The coup de grace.
I mean, to be fair, well, no, okay, it's more the Chinese for sacred beast that are like the turtle, the tiger, the phoenix, and the dragon. So it's not super fitting. My bad. And even the three sacred animals of Japan are the dog, the monkey, and the pheasant. So no, it's not fitting for that either.
Well, not the fox. I mean, isn't the fox also?
No. No. Well, the three animals are the one of the famous Momotaro legend: Akainu the dog, Kizaru the monkey, and Aokiji the pheasant.
That does it for this room. Looks like I've only got
Alright.
one more crypt to go.
No, foxes are just mostly, benevolent spirit, but on like a minor category, more like servants to the greater spirits.
I'm really getting the hang of this. I just sent you another waypoint, but it's kind of buried in the well.
Thanks for the help, Mary. Thankfully, since I explored the map, I already know where it is. But to be fair, you also have a marker. But the whole hint about it being the well, it's only a potential shortcut that you need. You can actually arrive it through another means if you want. So there's that. Alright, last phase, and for this one, there we go. You have 4 different vertical platforms with an arena that itself is based more on water, so there we go. You can also potentially just knock back the enemies back into the water and you should be good to go. But again, you need to just be worried about that if Bentley gets hit only once or not. So it's more juggling between each of a button to see if one is already, removed for the cooldown or not.
Go, Bentley. Burn those beings alive.
Yeah, at this point the body count is kinda astounding.
And Bentley is probably been the one who has the most of it, honestly.
At least at this point. Sly is more... considering the cane of Sly is more of a beating object, like a shillelagh. It's not necessarily... It's potentially not instrument of death, but more like
it's
he
more
knocks them
implied
out.
that, the people
He knocks them out.
hits are knocked out, yeah.
Same for Murray, because the stereotype that Murray goes for is the classic, brawler, or tavern brawler that just beats you up, like Obelix. He beats you up, but doesn't kill you. Bentley, no. Bentley fucking goes for the jugular.
Dang.
Mojo collector at full capacity. I should be able to blow the Clockwerk eyes off that mine shuffler. This is going to be...
You say so.
Bentley, did something bad happen to you in childhood aside from losing your parents? Because...
To be fair, the franchise never told us, what happened, what was the backstory of both Bentley and Murray, why they ended up in the same orphanages. Surprisingly, wondering that could be an actual, impetus to tell in a future game.
Weren't you listening? She was a priestess. Once you smash the coffin, it'll free all
Spooky.
the ghosts trapped in there with her.
Okay, I don't know where you're going with all of this, but freeing trapped ghosts sounds vaguely heroic.
Sly, you're still pretending you're a hero.
What are you talking about here? He does it for the good and all that.
So what's going to happen in the 5th game? They're going to start with the narration scene.
No, Dweebs, it's the subtitles. Sly 5, turns out I am the asshole.
Yeah, they'll pull a
Ow.
They'll pull an Attack on Titan or something.
Now, if I recall correctly, here, it's where you can get a particular Easter egg that I will showcase, if I recall correctly, after this mission. First of all, Bentley said, we need to actually free the priestess from the sarcophagus and the ghosts that were trapped in it. But first, get rid of the enemies. just to be sure. Yeah. Because again, enemies, for these two particular episodes, enemies can pop out from everywhere, so again, just to be sure. Alright. Yeah, I think I can do that, Bentley, don't worry.
It looks kind of, evil.
Alright, let me showcase this. If you stand on this very enemy point, then turn around with a binoculum and wait for a couple of seconds, you will see models from characters from the game that Sucker Punch did before the Sly series. Rocket Robot on Wheels. For example, this is the villain, the raccoon. Yes, the villain of that game actually was a raccoon. And if you do that here instead, correctly, you will say instead the model of the protagonist. There we go, that's Rocket. I have no idea how we managed to sneak in these Easter eggs because the franchise, that IP actually, I think recall, does belong to Ubisoft, and the game got another glitch.
You see, yeah, that was.
That's exactly it.
No,
Yep.
we owe that IP, so you can't play the game.
I don't know, Beat. I don't know.
Yeah, that was Ubisoft glitching the game remotely, saying nope. We own that IP. If you lay eyes on it, that will happen to you.
Nice work. Now head outside, and I'll fill you in on phase 2.
Okay, seriously, Tio, are all your consoles gifted
I
with the
swear,
power to
Dweebs,
reveal
when I play normally, I don't get these glitches.
Again, recording
It's like,
curse.
it's like when you glitched Heavy Rain.
Also,
and we saw the
yes,
flying
yes,
car.
Fury. That's my secret plans. I'm getting all these glitches just to flex.
Again,
Hey, it's your console's the one that's flexing.
Tio Scavetti, glitch flexer.
Again, recording curse. It's like when I was recording Shadow of the Colossus and I found a glitch that I never found in any of the other playthroughs I did. So
The PS4 never gave me any trouble in all these good years of service, but the moment I started playing Heavy Rain with your share play, I got stuck into a void.
The console's just like
again,
oh, breaking out the recorder. You know what that means.
Again, Teo, recording curse.
Anyway, to sum it up, Bentley has told us that if you use the binoculum camera, onto the ghost, the binoculum will actually store them inside it, because it just works. Then you will need to get into Nina's office and drop them into the chimney for a Christmas surprise.
Let me put
nice.
Let me put it this way too. I don't know if you watch the Super Gaming Brothers, which is Johnny's LP channel that he does with his brothers.
No.
Basically, back in 2012, they were trying to make their usual live LP of Sonic 06 because of fan request.
Oh boy.
However, according to Johnny, apparently that game doesn't like to be recorded because they kept trying to record the game, but the recordings kept messing up. So Johnny at some point went, fuck it, I'm just gonna do a post recording LP.
Because they usually record everything live, or at least most everything live.
But
I mean, the pandemic has put paid because they were doing Final Fantasy VII, but the pandemic has put paid to that for the time being.
It's like, so basically, Johnny said, and I quote, and I'm quoting him right now, this game doesn't like being recorded. So basically, he decided to do a post-commentary LP with just himself, basically.
Wow.
I was about to ask Tio, you should record a bit of Sonic 06 to see if we get anything new out of it.
No. I'm just...
Why not?
No.
It's a good initiation road.
Well, how about this?
Refuse.
How about this, Shiro?
See, I said that to Alice, but she still hasn't played it yet, and I don't know why.
Poor girl.
How about this, Shiro? Teo said at the end of our Sonic Unleashed commentary that he might try it one day. So maybe we'll have him do it for Sonic Unleashed to see if he finds some kind of crazy glitch.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe the glitch that I will get is that I forgot which, but that specific act will actually run at 60 FPS out of nowhere.
Nowadays, that's possible regularly. So who
Well,
knows?
30, only 30.
The only way to run those stages at 60, Jova. Still the Unleashed project.
Well, actually, no. Xbox Series X last
No,
time.
no,
Well,
no.
only for it's
Only
still
in
capped
30.
at 30.
It's the game
But
itself is capped at 30, so there's nothing
but
the
it is a
console can do.
But it
So-
is a consistent 30, so there is that.
It's a rock solid, perfect 30, Jova. But unless Sega actually goes back and actually changes the code of the game, which that's not up to Microsoft, there's nothing that can be done.
Could have sworn I heard somebody say that they got it running up to 60 on the Xbox Series
It's the
X,
uncle that
but,
works at Nintendo, Jova.
No, the only way to do that is to mod the game itself, because if a game is capped at 30, there's no powerful hardware that will fix that magically. You have to actually uncap the frame rate on the game's code. So
It's a Sonic game, you never know.
Alright, I forgot to mention. Yeah, as you can imagine, there's no falling damage from this game, thankfully, because that would be very counterproductive. But the parachute serves to cushion potentially some of your falls in order to make you arrive more smooth towards the target, but you need to actually land more, in an accurate way. So
that's why, Jove, in order to play Last Guardian in 60 FPS, you have to get your physical copy and not let it update. Just play without the patch. Because one of the measures they did with one of the patches to try to stabilize the frame rate was cap the frame rate at 30. However, the 1.0 version of the game plays at 60, and it was an incredibly bad 60 apparently. But if you play it on the PS5, it's a rock solid 60. So there you go. That being said, you don't have some of the camera refinements from the patches, so it depends on whether or not.
It's a trade, basically.
And even then, much like Eco, unlike Shadow of the Colossus, Last Guardian doesn't really benefit from a 60 FPS in any meaningful way, to be honest. The Shadow of the Colossus does, not so much Eco and Last Guardian.
I could see arguments for Last Guardian benefiting from a better frame rate, but
well, technically every game does benefit.
So I don't know.
Maybe some sections, Joe, where it might be a bit more actiony. But Last Guardian itself seems to be more methodical as a game, since it's puzzle-oriented. Only in a few selected sequences is more action-driven, where, you need to decide to where you're going really fast. You have split-second reflexes,
Yeah, let me put it this way, Joe, but there's a good reason why the marketing doesn't use 60 FPS as a selling point for the latent HD remasters on mobile, because who the hell cares about 60 FPS on Layton?
Okay. Now, Layton, that's a series that definitely does not really. Well, okay, actually.
Maybe the newer games with 3D, just like an Ace Attorney game.
Okay, the only way Layton would need 60 FPS is if it made a first-person shooter.
Well, the Switch remaster does play in 60, if it helps you.
Okay. If it's a case like Ace Attorney 6, Spirit of Justice, then yes, a higher frame rate would very much be appreciated.
Not to mention, much like with a lot of 3DS games, the 3DS, in order to compensate for the frame rate, I think it's the anti-aliasing that has all the jagged borders of a model. So actually seeing the models in an uncompressed format actually also will help.
I guess.
There we go, one last ghost and then we're good to go. All Luigi needed was just a photographic machine.
Of course.
Alright, let's just dump him in. Don't know how it's capable of doing that, but sure, why not?
With the bad mojo, of course.
Contessa wants war, eh? Perhaps it's time I purchase a little air power. A few bombs.
How dare she haunt my headquarters?
Can they give you some accent lessons?
They're ghost moves, I don't think we can do that.
The accent really isn't great.
To the next time where the gang tries to put up in action their plans on, getting back the eyes and defeat the Contessa. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.